Bruce Shutan, who's our drummer. Bruce.
Yes, so Scott, that's
drummers.
my question is all about that. So I want to go back to Toto for a second. So Jeff Porcaro, as you know, well, most people don't realize he was not just the drummer, the original drummer of Toto, who passed unfortunately in 1992, but he was a monster studio session guy and played on thousands
of records. Yeah.
Thousands of records. So he was a huge influence on me. And I wanted to ask you, where do you think he is on the pantheon of drummers across the board, studio, performing, you know, rock, jazz, you know, kind of looking back on American music? Because, you know, he's known as the drummer's drummer. Everybody has him in their top 10 list. But what do you think, just kind of overall, that how will history look down upon him?
Listen, Jeff was probably one of the greatest drummers of all time. I mean, his feel was ridiculous, right? He had such a sense of feel. And truthfully, he's the reason I'm a musician. Because when I was in that kid band, I was the oldest guy in the band, right? And we're winning all the battle events. So it was like, felt like a rock star back in those days. And it was because he was, you know, he was like 14, 15. He was doing the Sonny and Cher show and doing all these things. He took off. And I was back there going, man, I want to be a musician. So in the back of my mind, I always was like Jeff. I wanted to get to the point where I build enough respect for Jeff. So that's why when I got called to go play with Toto after all those years, I was like blown. It was the scariest thing I'd ever done. I'll never forget. So you'll love this story real quick. So I was, so I got the call to play with him. Now listen, I didn't want to fall down, man. I practiced. I was studying that music 10 hours a day. I learned every bit of Toto like you couldn't even believe, man. I was ready to roll. It was like insane. So I go to the first day rehearsal, scared. I couldn't sleep the night before. You know, these are my heroes. And these guys were monsters at that time. I mean, you know, the band was really well known, all the Grammys and all the stuff, right? So I'll never forget. I go into the rehearsal for the first time, right? And I'm getting ready to go play, think I'm going to play. And the first thing Jeff does is hand me a cowbell.
More cowbell.
The first song is Cowbell that I'm going to play with Toto. It's not going to be played by music. And I'm like, holy shit. Basically, he wanted to see how my time was. He wanted to see if I could groove, if I had time. Well, luckily, I was a metronome nut, man. I eat, drink, sleep metronomes. I owned one of the first Lynn drum machines, the first 5 Lynn drum machines. I'm a fanatic about time, about the groove. I spent all my time in there just really studying the beat. And so I'll never forget that. I was so scared. And after I played the first 2, like lock it in with Jeff, he came over and put his arm around me and said, okay, Paige, I was in. But everybody asked me, what was the most fun about playing with Toto? And I'd always say I got to play cowbell on 4 songs with Jeff Porcaro during the show. Because, dude, that you talk about somebody that had the groove. And my riser was right next to his, and I'd look down at him on the drums, and we would lock eyes. And all he did is play 2 and 4. But you could hear when he would move the backbeat around just a tiny bit, like this one he may drag it a little bit and this one push it a little forward. Because once you start looking at the beat, like at that level, like where you feel the stick sinking into the cowbell, you're not hitting the cowbell, you're sinking into the cowbell so that you get that lope, that little dead air before it hits, right? There's a whole massive science to that. But yeah, so Jeff, listen, I am so thankful for Jeff Porcaro. He really inspired me because in my back of my mind growing up, all I could say was, I want to get good enough that I could play with Jeff again. Right. So getting that gig and playing with him again, and then obviously being good friends for years. I mean, I remember when we were kids, I had this old 57 Porsche that I got in high school that I had, and I used to pull the seats out. Jeff would get in the back and we'd pile his drums in on top of them. We'd go play casuals together when we were kids. So when it comes to drums, he is probably one of the most respected drummers of all time because his feel was just insane. I mean, incredible player.
Unbelievable stories.